Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Life, Music, and Everything Else. I am your host, Sin. Yeah, that crazy noise that you hear is my son. He has to sit in on this one because we have no babysitter. So he's down here in the studio with us. Today is a very special podcast. I'm super excited about this one. I have two beautiful guests in the house with me, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hello, it's me, Special, the wife of the host. You guys know me. I've been on here a couple times. This is my third time, and I'm really excited about this one, so hope everyone gets to tune in.
That's a good intro. Miss Blair?
My name is Blair Vassar. I own Sustain Your Soul, which is a holistic health company. I do holistic health coaching as well as make products to support that lifestyle.
Awesome. I didn't even know you did holistic coaching, so this is a whole new...
Well, you know, I kind of like to include some of that with the products that I sell.
Yeah,
makes
sense.
That's kind of how but I do personalized sessions as well, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Explain that a little more. What is holistic coaching?
So, basically, it's taking, mind, body, spirit, and taking all three of those things and as a unit and teaching that they all are integrated in a way that affects the others. Wow. So when I coach, I'm not just coaching on like, hey, this is what you need to eat. It's like, hey, what's your spiritual practice or what supports your soul in your daily life,
Okay. That's good.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit your backstory, how you got started. We'd love to hear that for sure.
So I would say that pregnancy got me started, but I had kind of started moving into more of a natural lifestyle before that, like a little bit before that. My son was in the NICU for 2 months. And seeing him inundated with so many things, and like when I started researching what he was being inundated with and the pharmaceuticals and how those were could affect him long term, I was like, okay, he's had to deal with so early. I don't want him to have to do this his whole life.
Gotcha.
So I really started researching how can I have a more natural lifestyle for him, and how can I avoid being in this situation again. I had a high risk pregnancy. I had a really weird thing called a villamenous cord insertion, which means that the umbilical cord did not grow directly into the placenta. It grew through the membranes and then over to the placenta, and when it did that, it grew over my cervix. And so when it grows over your cervix, there's just a chance of losing that blood flow. So if I went into birth at any point and those vessels broke, he would lose his blood flow and be stillborn.
Oh, gosh,
so
that's scary.
I did not have, I was like, I'm going to have a home birth. I'm going to have a water birth. I'm doing everything natural.
So you were into this before you got pregnant?
Yes, and
natural.
I already knew.
Okay.
I had started, I would say about a year beforehand, I really started, moving my lifestyle in that direction. And then it was like this huge bomb of, if you have that birth, there's a chance. And I contacted midwives. I reached out all over the U.S. Yeah. I could not find one midwife that would actually birth.
They were scared.
Because it's
too big of a risk.
It's such a high risk.
That makes sense.
So that, being in that situation sparked this entire change, sparked everything.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a pretty scary
Was
situation.
there, back up before the pregnancy, what made you go into, was there a turning point then, or did you just gradually?
So I was about to turn 30.
Okay.
And I just wanted change in my life. Yeah. I honestly was a party girl. Mm-hmm. I was out 3-4 nights a week, and I wanted my life to calm down. And so I just started moving in a different direction and trying to find, taking time for myself. And I started reading more and taking more baths. And there are a lot of the things I still do today, for self-care. Mm-hmm. And But that, it was just like, I just wanted a lifestyle change. You know, I was like, my 20s are over. I'm ready to like be an adult now, or to really take care of myself, kind of thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's how. That's kind of how we started. I would say, you know, just I went to a small little story with me. I went to the doctor recently. Like what was it? 2 months ago. Just having real bad.
Maybe like 4
months ago. Damn, time flies. But just having back pain, real bad back pain, and posture problems. I was just wondering what was going on, and I was just noticing that I was taking like ibuprofen more than I usually would do. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna just duck off and go to the doctor. I went to the doctor and I had a high blood pressure reading, and I was like super scared, back hurting, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. So I came back home, and I think, what do we have? Did you have no, you didn't buy the elderberry then, but we was just talking about, all right, we gotta buckle down. We gotta buckle down. So I was like, all right, by the next time I go to the doctor, I want these levels to be normal, to come back down. So we started dieting, and it was like the best that I felt in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Just changing my diet, juicing more, eating more salads, eating more fruits, and cutting out the carbs, cutting out all the fats. And it was like a change. But with that change comes the challenge part. I would say what happened about 3 weeks ago. I kind of got back. Got back up. Yeah, it's hard to stay consistent.
It's hard to stay consistent, and I think that's why one of the things I talk to people about is intuitive eating. And intuitive eating is not like an actual, like, I'm probably never going to tell somebody you need to be like keto long term, or you're not going to be paleo long term. I think you need to make lifestyle changes that make sense for the long term. And the more that you do it, the more like you said, you were like, I felt great. Well, then at that point, you're like, okay, when I eat this, my body feels good. That's what intuitive eating is all about. So it's teaching people how to just really tune in. And when you start to tune in from a holistic standpoint, from the mind, body, and spirit standpoint, then you really, like, everything just kind of flows.
Yeah. So with the holistic coaching comes in the sustain your, and you brought some samples.
Yes,
in
I
for
did.
us.
I did. So I have the 4 products that I have out now, and I'm actually going to be releasing at least 1 product next week, maybe 2. Just different things. Really, I like to take things that are in our everyday lives, or that we can add to our everyday lives, and simplify them. So you guys found me because of the elderberry syrup.
We'll do that in a little while.
Look,
Let's talk to her
okay,
more.
I'm
Okay.
I feel like that should be like the ending part.
Okay.
Like he's getting ahead of himself.
He's like, I want to do it.
No, because you know what it is. You got him in there going crazy. So I'm like,
no, he'll
all right,
be
all right,
I feel
he'll be
refocus. All right. So what do we start with? We started with how you kicked this off. How this got to this point. Now you're here creating this. How did this come into play? Like,
good question. So, I was a single mom. I had a very demanding job. I was in sales. I was flying all over. Every week I was flying from Dallas to Houston, or Dallas to New York, or Dallas to Chicago, wherever my customers were. And it was really hard.
I bet.
And my son, I really just saw him, like, in the morning. I dropped him off at daycare. We got home. We ate dinner. He went to sleep. Like, I wasn't really, like, our lifestyle was just so fast. And, like, we were doing a lot of the right things in terms of, like, food. And I had, at that point, I wasn't making elderberry. We were taking elderberry every day, and a lot of supplements and different things. But it just wasn't a lifestyle that I could maintain. Yeah. And I just noticed, like, I had no energy. And I found this holistic doctor right outside of Dallas. And I went into them, and they said, you have chronic fatigue syndrome. You have chronic Epstein-Barr, which Epstein-Barr is mononucleosis. Most people have 95% of the population has it, but it's becoming rampant in those who have autoimmune diseases. And what it's doing is it's just never going away. Like, most people, you have it, you fight it, it goes dormant.
Yeah, and I had that in high school. It's rough.
It flares up all the time. And when it flares up, I get fibromyalgia symptoms, and I get all of these other things. My thyroid was out of whack. I mean, it was just like everything. And I went to my manager, and I said, I have to take short-term leave. And I did that, and I was sleeping 16 to 18 hours a day because I could not physically get myself out of bed. And when I started researching this, and now I'm in all these support groups and things, and I realize I'm not the only person that's like dealing with this. At the time, I was like, I didn't know anything. Like I'd heard here and there, but like I didn't really know. And I just was like, okay, there's no way I can go back to this lifestyle. I cannot physically do it. And I had been talking about wanting to do a business like this for a long time. And I was sitting at home, and I finally started getting some energy, and I just made a huge batch of elderberry syrup. I ordered some berries online, and
this was when you were still in Dallas?
I was still in Dallas. And I still have customers out in Dallas now that I still deliver to. I try to get out there every 4 to 6 weeks to deliver to my customers there. But I just started making stuff, and some of the stuff, like, I don't do anymore, but it was just like things that I wanted for my home, that I wanted more simply made, that I wanted more sustainable, eco-friendly, and that was it. And that was in January of 2018 that I launched the business. I stopped working in April of 2018, and then I moved here back to Tulsa, which is where I'm from, in October of last year. So I've officially been here a year as of this month.
So with the two chronic things that the doctor told you, did you specifically like look up things to help that? Did you have that kind of idea, or you just said, "Oh, this is what I'm gonna target," or you just targeted everything?
So they were holistically minded. So they were already like, "This is what you need to do," and that's kind of what I had been doing anyway. So it just all kind of made sense. And they, wanted me to. They want you to supplement a lot. I am more of, now that I've researched it more, I'm more of a food as medicine person. Supplements to me are a business. They're not, I don't 100, I feel like we capitalize on supplements instead of on food, instead of local farmers and all of that. So the cool thing though, when I moved here, I literally was driving into town the day I moved back into Oklahoma, and I Googled Oklahoma elderberry farms. There is an elderberry farm here in Oklahoma in Weber's Falls.
Didn't know that.
Yes.
Did not know that.
I only knew that because you said you were going to pick some up.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's cool.
So within a month of me being here, I contacted them. They only had like 18 pounds left for the whole season. So I went and bought them out, and that's kind of how it started to be. So, because I want it from a sustainability standpoint, I am really big on supporting the microeconomy, small businesses, small farmers, getting away from corporate farming, all of that. Yes, it's great if we need to eat healthier, but we also need to support our own ecosystem, our own economies, and everything else. So there's like so many facets to my business that are important to me. And
but that's what you're passionate about. That's what drives you.
That's awesome.
Every day.
Were you scared? Like, how scared were you when you quit your job and you were like, this is what I'm going to do?
I think everybody else was more scared than I was. And they are still scared. To this day, I have people that are like, you just need to go. Like, and I did. I will be really honest. I tried to go back to work this year full time, and I got into it. I mean, I found a niche, and it was like the universe totally rejected me. It was like, no, this is not what you're doing. You know what you're passionate about.
I mean,
and that was it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I just came back to it, and I think, I might work some part-time stuff here and there, helping other small businesses here in town, because that's what I'm passionate about. I don't think I can be in the corporate world. It is just not for me. I literally worked for a company that if I told you who it was like, they run things. Yeah. Like, they run things in the stock market. It's big stuff. And so I felt like I had my best friend, he told me, he would always be like, you're part of the Fed. And it felt like that. It felt like that. He was like, I know they're listening to your phone. And I'm like, okay, you're probably not wrong. Honestly. It ate away at me. It wasn't just that I was working incredibly hard. I was working incredibly hard because I was live this alternative lifestyle, even though I wasn't really showing it at work. My customers loved me. I had no issues with customers ever. Yeah. But the people around me, like I wasn't money minded. I wasn't money focused. I was people focused, and they didn't know how to associate themselves with me. And it was like fire and ice all the time. So I just know that this is, like you said, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is
what you're supposed to do.
what I'm supposed to be doing.
I think because our situation is similar with the work, like the schedule. Like I was working at the bus plant, Tulsa bus plant, making buses, and it was horrible. It was demanding on my body. Time wise, you never had time to do anything. We wasn't cooking home cooked meals, so it was either vending machines, fast food stuff. I'm too tired when I get home to do anything, so we wasn't as active as a family going out doing things. I'd rather just stay at home and sleep. She was at a job that
pharmacy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard.
Which is crazy because I would sit there. I started out in we packaged medicine for nursing homes.
Okay.
So as I'm sitting there, packaging these medicines, and then it was even weirder because before then I would pass the medicine to the nursing home residents.
Yeah.
Then I got into pharmacy side, and every day I'm like, this is like the total opposite of what I believe in.
Yeah.
One patient would have 14 pills a day, and then I started getting a traveling position with the same company, checking things in the nursing homes, and it was too stressful. I mean, I would come home. I hated it. I would come home and I'd have to do reports, and I was unhappy. I was depressed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you a brief story how I got into it, because he kind of he says from a couple months. But what really started is this was before I even started working at the pharmacy. I was living in Oklahoma City, and I was in a relationship. We just weren't happy. We were young, and it was just not good. We weren't on the same page. And my parents knew a lady that was into, I don't know if you've heard of structural integration. It's like a deep tissue massage, but it focuses more on the tissue.
Okay.
And it's more of like a mind, body, spirit thing. So I went there initially to learn how to do that. And so she put me through the sessions, and it was like, you do the massage work, but like at the same time you like release emotions, and you tell her what's been bottled up. And it was a life-changing experience for me. Yeah. I stayed there for like 2 months with my daughter, and she taught me about juicing. She taught me about how she took her niece who had cancer to the Amazon forest and helped get cured. I mean, it was a overall
amazing
experience for me. And so when I came back to Eufaula, where my parents lived, because I had relocated from OKC, I was totally changed. But I started juicing, and my daughter, she had eczema really bad all over her body. And so the first thing I thought was like, okay, I'm going to start juicing and see what happens. Well, her eczema went away totally. Oh, yeah. Completely. It was gone. And so I was like, oh, okay, so I would juice a little bit for her. And then I ended up meeting Sean, and we moved to Tulsa. And I kind of, juicing's hard. It's not something that you can stick with usually long term. So you kind of go in and out. And I would tell him about it. You should try this. He wasn't really into it. But I started getting depressed. Like, I knew it was nothing in my life directly affecting the depression. But, for no reason, you just cry. Yeah. You can't figure out why you can't get out of the funk. And I was watching some documentary on Netflix, and they were saying how this girl, I don't know, she had some condition where she'd bang her head against the wall all day long, and they started giving her lysine pills.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it changed her mind, and she would come down and sit with her family and eat, and that's nothing they had ever seen before. And so I was like, maybe, just maybe, it does affect our minds.
Yeah.
And so I started researching, and so I started juicing again, and within like 3 days, the depression was
fine.
gone, and I've never looked
That's
back. Every time,
incredible.
yeah, my daughter had asthma, allergies, and eczema, all those. Now sometimes they come back if we stray away,
Right.
but all we do is juice, and it goes away.
Yeah.
Postpartum depression came. He went in there,
man.
made me a juice. I was fine. Never looked back, and like, I can't. People think you're crazy, but until you experience that for yourself,
It's real.
it is so real.
It's so real. It's so incredible how food affects the entire body. Everything. Everything. The way that the synapses in your brain are firing, and those antioxidants that you're getting help to move everything along. You have to have that stuff. It's so important.
And then one other thing that I really tried, because you want to help people.
Yeah.
Every time they're, like, whenever they say, I'm sad, I don't know what's wrong with me, I'm irritated. Another thing that always pops in my mind is one time I was watching Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
And they go through the description of these people are deprived of food. They will start experience mood swings and this and that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, that is what they're going to the doctor for, these pills, and they're really just deprived. They're eating McDonald's, fast food, and I try to simplify it, and I don't think a lot of people they're like, you have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah.
But like, not to cut you off, but that's how it was. Like, remember back to when you first made me that thing of juice. I didn't understand it. I didn't know nothing
Set in
about
his
it.
refrigerator. It was a gallon.
It was a gallon. And I'm thinking when she talk about making juice, I'm just thinking I'm not knowing the work that goes into making this juice.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, so it's set in my refrigerator because I tried to drink it and it was horrible. It was,
Now
the
he
taste
can down
was
it.
Right.
The taste was horrible. So initially, it's like, no, like, I'm so used to burgers, fries, and eating this way. Why would I want to?
Gatorade.
Yeah,
Oh,
Gatorade.
Gatorade, y'all. Don't get me started.
But that's how they tricked us. That's how they tricked us. Like,
They
It's
do.
true.
They trick you.
it's true. I was totally duped with everything.
They really, these huge corporations, I know that people think it's a conspiracy, but they really do research to make sure that the things that they give you are addictive.
Yeah.
They want it
And
to be
bringing
addictive.
you
The
into the
chemicals
doctor.
are what
Yeah.
make it addictive, even the minute amounts.
Yeah. And I never
they know
looked
that.
at it.
I believe.
Yeah.
I never
Right.
paid attention to it. I just thought
You're like, this looks like a burger. It's a burger.
exactly. Or if they have that big sticker, y'all know what I'm talking about, fat free or
Right.
what was it?
0
90%
trans fat or something.
Right.
or 0 calorie Coke.
You're
Like,
like-
all that stuff was
You're like,
was,
this is
yeah,
healthy.
this is good. And I'm just steady down in it. And then she would be like, that's not this. Or if you want to find out something, look at all the ingredients.
Ingredients,
that
yes.
And it
So-
takes years to get to that point, so I don't expect me to have a conversation with someone who's on that side.
Right.
That's what I call it. Because
That
you're like,
side.
like, I can't have a conversation with you and then expect to change your mind. It's something that you're going to have to gradually
Right.
realize on your own.
Yeah. You just talk about it a little bit here and there and hope it sparks someone's interest, and they do their research. That's I post all kinds of things on my page related to things like that,
That's awesome.
I like
because
this.
it's important.
It's very important.
So I have to ask you, have there been any life-changing stories that you've had a part in?
So when I first started doing it, and people would message me about how their children's congestion or asthma got better, and kind of how you're talking about the juicing. But most recently, I launched this product called Golden Milk Syrup.
Oh yeah, we gotta get to that because we're big on turmeric.
So
for real.
I actually sold out, and I started macerating some new today. But I put a little bit of it in some almond milk for you guys to taste it. So you guys can taste it. But it'll be ready
Exclusively.
on Saturday, and I'm probably gonna make another batch tomorrow so that I have multiple batches going at a time.
Yeah, we definitely have to get some of that.
But I had a friend, and I told her, I said, golden milk tea is traditionally from Ayurvedic medicine, which is out of India, and it's based with turmeric. And usually it's made with coconut milk, but I tell people with the syrup, you can put it in whatever kind of milk that you want to put it in.
So it's an actual syrup.
It is an actual syrup.
that's really
It's based
neat.
in honey. But she messaged me legitimately less than 48 hours after using it and she was like, Blair, I have arthritis and I have pain every day. And she said, my pain is gone.
Wow.
That was just like a week or so ago.
That
And just talking about it gives me chills because it reduces inflammation that much. And I had another friend, and she actually started detoxing a little bit from the syrup because it does have fresh turmeric in it. So basically, you macerate. So macerating is just taking the honey. So honey acts as a natural preservative because of the high sugar content. And you take I do fresh turmeric, fresh ginger, I do peppercorns, and then I also sprinkle in dried turmeric in there, as well as some other sweet spices, so cinnamon, cardamom, and black pepper. So I do black pepper corns that I crush up, I hand crush up, and then I do some actual black pepper in there as well. And then I let it sit for 48 hours. Mm-hmm. And what it does is the honey starts to pull that curcumin and everything out of the turmeric and the ginger juice out of it, and it just kind of infuses the honey.
That sounds amazing.
If you don't know this, so ginger in itself is also a prebiotic. So prebiotic means that it's setting the gut up ready for your probiotics, so the good bacteria. So it's really great for that. Cinnamon is an incredible, every single one of the things that are in there do all kinds of different things. Black pepper helps with the bioavailability of the turmeric and helps your body to accept and use the turmeric and for longer term in the body. So it's really nice.
See, that's no, I hate to cut you off, but
that's okay.
That's just stuff that I didn't know. Like, this helps set up this. Like, I think that's important because, and I'm guilty of, my wife will tell you, sometimes I just think, oh, okay, you say this stuff is good, let me just load up on all of this and not, you know what I'm saying, not properly take it the way that I'm supposed to. So,
well, and people, because it is like food as medicine, people are always like, well, how much can I take? And I'm like, you can take as much as you want. I recommend just a tablespoon per 8 ounces of liquid. I have people that are using it as their sweetener in their coffee in the mornings. I no longer drink coffee. That's why I started making this syrup.
I love coffee. I don't plan on giving up coffee anytime soon. So, maybe if I had to talk with you on that, I might. But
I have high anxiety. And that makes sense. I also show symptoms of adrenal fatigue. So that was another thing I didn't mention when I went to the holistic doctor, that they mentioned that was probably happening. So generally the body, the reason the thyroid ends up going out of whack a lot of times is because of adrenal fatigue. And the adrenals, obviously we know adrenaline is like you get scared or you get anxious or whatever, and it sends out these hormones that kind of put your body into fight or flight mode. Well, basically, I was living in that mode all the time. And so my adrenals were not making enough of the correct hormones, and then that means that your thyroid is not making enough of the correct hormones, and that throws every other hormone in your body off. So in the last couple of weeks, I've completely gone off of just coffee. I still do kombucha, which has a small amount of caffeine in it because it does have tea in it. And then I drink some iced tea here and there. But
have you noticed it's getting better, much better?
Much better. My anxiety has gone down a lot. But that goes back to, like, I'm not going to tell you don't need to drink coffee. I intuitively know that I don't need to drink coffee.
Yeah, everyone's.
And it's, again, about everybody just taking the time to tune into their own bodies and figure out what's best for them, you know? And what I love about this life and learning these things is there are so many different ways to balance so many different things just with food.
Yes.
Just with food.
Girl that I look up to on Instagram, I think she's from,
what's her name?
Her name is Rachel Ost. She's like really into photography and health and fitness and natural minded. So I was wondering if there's someone that you like look up to, kind of go to.
So there are a couple of podcasts that I listen to. The Wellness Mama podcast is a big one.
I have.
And then The Doctor's Pharmacy is another big one.
I want to write these two down.
So those two I listen to a lot. I also love Chelsea Handler.
Oh, of course. She's awesome.
If you guys have done the anagram test, she's an 8, and I'm also an 8.
Ah.
So I find myself understanding her a lot, and kind of, she's gone through this huge transformation recently and learning how to be empathetic, and I think I had to kind of do that. Right before I had my son, I kind of went through that transformation. But in terms of, from a holistic standpoint, I would say those two.
Okay.
I would say those two. Dr. Axe is a really big one.
We just bought his
Collagen.
collagen,
Yeah.
and got his book on collagen.
His website is an incredible
I'm gonna have
resource
to
for
look.
so many people.
I'm gonna definitely.
He
look.
puts so much great information on there, and he links everything back to the original source, and I love that. Like,
That's
he's not trying to
awesome.
hide anything.
He's just showing
And
what-
he's done that since
and
before he
personal
launched any of his.
experience.
Yes.
Like, I really like just the collagen book. Like, he will
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah.
What's,
stories.
Yeah.
What's his? Because I hate when I watch podcasts and they say something really. So say it again for us. The Dr. Axe and his what's his website so that people can.
I think it's just draxe.com.
Dr. Axe, yeah.
I think so.
And then you said Wellness Mama, Dr. Axe, and who else? What
Oh,
else?
the Doctor's Pharmacy.
The Doctor's
And
Pharmacy.
doctors.
All this good health talk. All this good health talk. It's no excuses.
Okay, so one more
So that's
question.
Dr. Mark Hyman. I'm sorry, Mark
Okay.
Hyman. And then Katie, she always says, "Hi, I'm Katie," and I can't remember what her last name is on Wellness Mama podcast. But
Well, we'll just Google.
she
Wellness
has a
Mama.
lot of really awesome. Like, I don't use anybody's recipe necessarily for what I do, but I take from a lot of
Yeah.
different places and kind of create my own thing.
Yeah.
But she, like, if you were like, hey, I want to find a less toxic, I don't know, cleaner or whatever, she'll be like, hey, here's how you make it, or here are some good ones to buy, you know?
that's-
And she's like very similar to Dr. Axe, and she goes into all of the information and
That's cool.
has a lot of links and stuff back to there. So, yeah.
Okay, so I gotta ask you about kombucha since you. So I love kombucha. I actually grew my own SCOBY before.
Yes.
Is that something you could ever see yourself getting into?
It's really interesting that you asked me that, because I started a batch just this week.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to have to get with you later on that, because I grew it and then I didn't know what else to do after that. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, you get different stories. Like,
Yeah.
I joined a group and everything, and I just wasn't really sure how to mix it after you make this. So that's okay. I had to ask you that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
awesome.
I love fermented foods. I try to incorporate kombucha and one fermented like cabbage a day. So right now
Okay.
I'm eating, it's called Nar, and it's GNAR. Yeah, GNAR. But it's basically a spicy version of kraut. So it
Okay,
has,
so
like-
we do,
Sauerkraut?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we do sauerkraut, because we got into that, of course.
Yeah.
And then he really likes kefir. Like, he'll
Does
drink
he?
the pouches. I don't know if you've got your
No.
son, because kefir is
Yeah.
fermented. And at Sprouts, they have the little pouches.
Yeah.
He loves it.
That's awesome.
And what else? There's another fermented food that we
It's the
really...
kimchi shots.
Yeah.
So
Those-
kimchi, I love. So there's all
Gut
there's
shots.
if you guys do not know, they used to be called Scissortail, but they're called Dale and Daughter now, and they
Okay,
are
I didn't know that.
local, and they do a ton of ferments.
Where can
They
we
sell 'em
purchase this?
at the Mother Road Market.
Okay.
So they,
So I'm going to be looking for your brand at Mother Road soon, because
Yeah.
that's
the
what
goal.
I picture.
That is the goal. That is the goal, and they know. They
So soon.
Yeah.
For sure.
the
You
goal.
are
By
all
the end
the
of
way.
the year.
I could definitely see you having a booth.
Yeah, there's a few things. Definitely, I think the golden milk syrup, as obviously the elderberry. So we haven't really talked about the elderberry much in this, but that was my biggest, and that was my starter. You know, it's the one that went crazy.
Elderberry. And
is
so
the
most
elderberry.
people surprisingly are learning about it
Yeah.
with flu and everything going around, because even people that are not natural minded will share,
Right.
get this for your kids,
Right.
get this. Well, I made the mistake, because I didn't know anything about it, as I bought like an elderberry. It had elderberry in it, but it was actually tablets, and they
Yeah.
were bringing my daughter's fever down, and I didn't want, she had
Right.
the flu. It was not like actual medicine, not.
So it was important to me to create a syrup that people like to take, because I know people that absolutely hate the smell of elderberries cooking, and I also know people that absolutely hate the taste of the syrups that are in the stores.
A lot of them are horrible.
They're really...
It took a while to get used to.
Yeah, and I think I was just in that mindset because I had been kind of eating healthier, and like, like when you started juicing, you start to taste bitter things and different flavors, and you just kind of... So I didn't think about it, but I was like, I want to make something that people will like. And elderberries in themselves are a bitter berry. They're not a super sweet berry. So in order to counter that bitterness, that's why I added the lemon. As you guys know, lemon is also great for detox, and it's also great to alkalinize the body. So it just kind of worked out that, it has several great things in there. I also chose not to add ginger into that syrup. People don't tend to like ginger in that syrup.
Hard to get used to.
Yeah. So,
I think it's perfect. It's good. It tastes so good.
It took me a while to get used to. I didn't like it.
What, ginger?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about hers. Her recipe is perfect.
I thought you were just talking about the ginger.
Oh yeah, ginger is strong.
Was not my favorite. Now I'm good with it. Like I'll steep ginger in water and just make my own tea and stuff. But when I first started, I was not a big ginger fan.
Well, if you've ever tried the ginger on the side of the sushi plates, that's not how ginger tastes. Like, I had to learn that the hard way. I'm like,
that was the problem.
This is not ginger. Like,
that was my only introduction to ginger, really,
of course.
was sushi.
Most people,
cleanser. No.
like, wait, hold up. That's funny. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we ask you, like, your long-term goals?
Oh.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
Just to go back to the milk, the honey,
the golden milk?
The golden milk.
Yes.
How often, you said take that 1 teaspoon every 8 ounces?
Yeah, so you can do a teaspoon every 8 ounces or to taste. It's some people do it like once, like I do it once a day, but I'll do like 12 to 16 ounces, so I'll do a little bit more, obviously, than the teaspoon. But I have friends that are taking it 2 or 3 times a day in milk or in coffee, and I have another friend, and she just takes it on a spoon because she's like, I don't have time for all that, but I want this in my body, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
However you can get it
However
in.
you can get it in.
I'm looking forward to trying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You had something you were saying?
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else she wanted to mention before we ask her, like, her long-term goals, like, for her business.
Yeah. No, I think we've covered a lot of ground. Definitely
yes,
today.
Yes, for sure.
This is awesome. Love talking about this stuff.
I believe we covered a lot. I still think we have to do a part 2, though.
I think so too. There's
a part 2.
We have to do a part 2.
I would love that.
And I did with this one. I want to have like interactions with people on my Facebook.
Yeah, like questions and stuff.
Members, because my daughter is autistic and she's having a lot of help. Because there's a lot of stuff I want to ask you about that. And so I know it's so much more that we have to put out there for the listeners. But I really believe that they're going to enjoy it. Just this. Go ahead.
I have a question now.
Yeah,
so you mentioned your son was in the NICU for 2 months.
Yeah.
Does he have any other health issues from that, or has he?
It's the reason we started elderberry in our home is because my son had lung issues in the hospital. They told me he would probably have asthma. And I was like, we're going to combat this. And I knew that elderberry, in addition to being a great cold and flu fighter, which we have a lot of evidence for, there's a lot of scientific studies that support that.
Yeah.
But elderberry is also a great anti-inflammatory and great for helping respiratory, congestion and all of that. So I started giving it to him when he was 9 months. It was a honey-free version from the store. I gave him that, vitamin D, high doses of vitamin C, and then probiotics and a daily multivitamin. And he has not, as long as he's taking, now we're just really down to the elderberry and then whatever he'll eat because he's 3 and 3-nager is a real thing.
Oh, gosh.
But,
not looking forward to it.
But, he does not really get congested. I mean, this summer, because it's been so humid here in Tulsa, has been an anomaly. But for the most part, as long as he's taking the elderberry, we really don't have huge issues. It never gets to the point that most people do. And even if it does, we are able to clear it up very quickly.
How were you doing, because we've had our share of high dosing of vitamin C.
Yeah.
How were you doing that? Because I know you can't just
Max?
take the...
When he was a kid?
Yeah,
When he
like
was
what?
little?
How were you getting it in him? Because, I know you can't just take the tablets because it causes your stomach.
When he was really little, I would microdose it through the day, just in water with the elderberry, because the elderberry needs that balance. So he got used to tart things really quickly, and then once he was eating, at about a year, I started giving him oatmeal, and then I would mix it all in his oatmeal and just like, here's everything you need to eat.
So when you say high dose vitamin C, were you just doing it through food, or you actually bought like a...
So I did ascorbic acid. So there's there is some controversy within the, we'll call it the crunchy community about ascorbic acid, because it is a lot of times derived from from corn. And in the past, that corn was not always non-GMO. Now there's a brand called Solaray, and they are verified non-GMO corn. Most likely corn derived. They don't have where the vitamin C is derived from. Some people don't like ascorbic acid because they say it's not true vitamin C. It's just a piece of vitamin C. There's all these things, but let me tell you something. There are lots of studies that say that, high dosing vitamin C, intravenous vitamin C for cancer. Yep. For cancer is huge. For pneumonia.
Pretty much illness.
Anything, it will,
Yes.
it just goes through, and it does not create an environment that those illnesses can continue to live in. So when people are like, well, no, you need to get at food source, which I'm huge on food sourcing, don't get me wrong. But if it comes down to illness, and we know how to kind of biohack, so to speak, I'm okay
And it's
with
really
that.
hard to get that much. I mean, they say you can take a lot.
So, whooping cough, Dr. Susanna Humphreys, she was able to cure a baby of whooping cough with 30,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, which was in an infant. So that you can imagine in an adult that would be a lot more, but most likely they probably wouldn't have whooping cough to the extent that a baby would. But that's the point. It's a lot.
There's one bottle you can buy, I think, at GNC. And they tell you just to take like a capful, but I think if you take the full, I can't remember how much, it's a high dose, and I just drank the whole thing.
Did it detox you?
Yes, it did, but it wasn't as bad because, which that's a whole other story, like liposomal vitamin C they say you take. But, of course, vitamin C is awesome.
I'm gonna just interject. You made a good point that I think is really important, and I hope my listeners listen, especially the ones that got kids. That you said your son got used to tasting tart stuff, sweet stuff, different kind of stuff that you was making. He got used to tasting that early because you introduced it to him at an early age. And so, like, it's similar with him. Like, now I can give my 9-year-old son some juice, and he's like, he don't want to taste it. But at an early age, we introduced him to juice. So now he drinks it like his juice. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Very
I'm
important
glad you pointed that out.
For those that's listening to say, you're young, let's start pumping this good stuff into them while they're young so they can come up and be used to it. And it's not a challenge to try to get them to take it.
Just simple changes, like no goldfish, like buy raspberries or blueberries. Like, just simple changes, and kids will eat what they're given. It might take a little bit to get used to, but you
after
teach
a while
them.
they're gonna get hungry.
Yeah,
and
you
they're
teach
gonna
them.
eat it.
So.
And don't fall for the tricks, all the tricks that they got out there. Like, even Walmart has like healthier selections and produce stuff that you can go to. First thing people say, "Oh, it's so expensive. It's so expensive." It's just bargaining. It's just trying to find.
So
at
it's
what
funny.
cost? Like your health.
You mentioned that. I was at Walmart for something the other day, and this lady was like, I can't find garbanzo beans. And I said, well, there's organic garbanzo beans right here for 92 cents a can. And she said, they're only 92 cents a can. I thought they'd be super expensive for organic. And I said, ma'am, I had to say it. I was like, ma'am, not everything that's organic is expensive. I was like, you got to look at the price, and it's worth it.
It's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Like music and everything else, I really hope you guys got some valuable information, some important information that was out here that's just not to go in one ear out another.
If you don't do anything, then follow her on the link we provide, and she will put out the information that you can get here and there.
Definitely.
So, awesome.
Thanks so much for coming,
All right,
Blair.
thank you.
You guys have
Bye,
a great day.
guys.